Welcome to Marked Close One, where we talk about how sales and marketing work together. We skip the theory and business school buzzwords to give you practical strategies you can use today to fill your pipeline and close deals faster. Let's get to it.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is episode 8 with my buddy here from Ablaze Media, Mark Stafford. Mark,
I can't believe
we've
it's
made
been
it.
8 episodes. That's unbelievable.
Right. It's taken some time, but hey, I think there's been some good information that's been going across. What I would say that I want to do on this particular episode is, man, we have talked about lead generation. We've talked about the sales funnel. We've talked about closing deals. I want to have it where we put everything together. Let's just do
Okay.
something from start to finish. Like, what I'm going to do here is let's give you a scenario. You're starting fresh. You have no brand awareness. There is nothing. You've got, I don't know, I'm going to say 500 to $1,500. I'm giving
Okay.
you 14 days to generate legitimate meetings. What are the channels that you are going to be betting on first? And then also, if you would dig into it, why?
Okay. Well, it's interesting, John. As you know, we actually have a customer that we have a similar challenge in front of us. This isn't quite that
We
little
do.
money and that little time, but it's a similar challenge. Their market is much, much more competitive. So let me start at the beginning. Before we talk about the channels, we need to talk about the offer. The offer has to be killer. So this is, let me see if I can explain this right. Either you pay for the leads with the spend, with the ad spend, or you pay for the leads with the offer. And here's what I mean. I was working at a radio station at one point, and we had this campaign. We never put any money towards it other than maybe a flyer. But on this one day of the year, it was the half price sale. I think is what they called it. It was the half off sale day. And anybody who bought ads at the station could get ads for half price on that one day and that one day only. So there were lots of the one day sale is what they call it, the one day sale. So there were lots of people, big clients. We were talking about hospitals and car dealerships and some of these really big clients. They would wait until the one day sale. And then they'd be like, all right, $20,000. I'm going to get, $2,000 of ads every single month. And then you're going to do those at half price. I'll get twice as many ads. In essence, getting $4,000 worth of ads every month. If I put all of my spend in right now, and it was right before the end of the year. So that'll look good for for the sales manager and her numbers at the end of the day. And so that one day sale, it was really valuable for the station. It was valuable for the client, but in essence, we paid for it, not with, because we didn't even put it, we had a radio station, we had an advertising avenue, but we never advertised this. This was only like phone calls and emails, word of mouth. We're calling people up and say, hey, I know you love the station. Do you want half off spots? As many as you want, but you got to do it on this day. And so they ended up like, they didn't pay for advertising for it, but they did pay for it with the discounts that they extended. So all that, the principle is this, is that when you put together an offer, an irresistible offer, it has to have 4 things. It has to, first of all, be unique, right? Something they can't get anywhere else. It needs to be useful, something that they know that, as a marketer that your customer needs. So it needs to be useful. It needs to be ultra specific. So you can't say we're doing a store-wide sale on everything. That doesn't ever work. It's one thing, one day, right now, and it has to be urgent. It has to be right now, or else the deal's going away. And that urgency needs to be actually something that's really urgent. Not that you're trying to turn up the heat on somebody, but it's the idea that, hey, this is a limited time offer and you do need to make a decision now. And so when we're talking about these kind of fast closes, this isn't always the way you want to do every sale, but on these kind of fast closes, that's absolutely the for you philosophy is what you need to use. And then if I have that small of a budget, here's what I'm doing. I'm hitting email. First and foremost, I'm hitting the email, hitting it hard. I'm hitting the phones. Maybe I'm even throwing a couple $100 at a guy to help me make phone calls, but I'm hitting the phones and I'm hitting meals. I'm taking people out to lunch. Okay. And I'm saying, hey, I got this deal for you. Can you meet me down at Starbucks? Can you meet me down at the grill? I want to talk to you about this deal. So I'm paying for lunch, and maybe Maybe I'm doing a small ad on social media, just to kind of push it out a little bit further past my email campaign. That's all. I'm out of money. I'm completely out of money at that point. Emails, meals, emails, meals, media, social media, the M's.
I don't even know if you did that on purpose.
I
Well,
didn't
throwing
I
this
didn't really
from,
mean to, but it works, you know.
so you got the 4 U's, you got the 3 M's. Now, kind of, you've already answered a portion of this, but I mean, from the fastest, like, cost-effective offers that you'd put in front of somebody, because all you're really wanting to do is just get them so that they would raise their hand so you can have a conversation.
Mhm,
But what are some of these free things that you would do? I mean, a free audit, a paid
mhm.
diagnostic, I mean, workshop. What do you typically see in that regard that would really kind of move the needle?
It has to hit somebody's reward zone. And
Yeah,
so it's an irresistible offer to them that they go, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I can get in on this right now." So that could be something like you're a college selling a university, degree program, and you're saying, first class on us, totally accredited, totally on us. It's going to be $1 for your first class. Now, that's a pretty good offer, right? But
that's a great offer.
that would be a great offer. And it's a good loss leader because they're going to spend $40,000 for the rest of their degree program, and they get to get a
Mhm.
sample as to what that degree program is going to be like, right? Maybe it is, like I said, it's a half off deal. Maybe it's $25,000 off of a new car. Maybe it's a very expensive thing, but it can also be information. So, like in our world, that offer could be, I'm going to do a comprehensive evaluation of your marketing strategy and give you a marketing strategy for the next 12 months. And I'm going to do it totally for free. This is an offer that I normally would charge somebody $15,000 to do, and I'm gonna give it to you for free if you book a time on my calendar next week. I mean, it could be something that's like that, that's just my information, but it's
Right.
really, really good and useful, unique, useful, ultra specific, and urgent, right? That information is now, and it's super valuable. Um, it could be, it just depends on the industry, right? As far as what this thing is and what you're trying to sell. But what is that thing that's unique to you and that seems like, man, this is too good to be true? And yet, as a salesperson, as a business owner, you know that in the long run, you're going to make some money on that thing.
Exactly, exactly. Next question that I had for you, this is definitely of the age kind of thing, but it's also something that you and I speak to a lot of prospects about. I've given you such a short window of time, such a low dollar amount. How would you be using AI to try to make this faster? What would you be turning? What dials would you be turning that makes it so it doesn't become like a spam cannon, for example?
Well, there's a couple of things that AI is very, very helpful for. My
Mhm.
daughter and I have had this conversation that she's an artist and she gets really irritated when she sees artwork that's being created by AI. She's like, that's just stealing from other people. And she has this whole kind of soapbox she gets on, which is probably legitimate. But there are some ways that I think most people can agree that AI is a really super great tool. I often explain it like this, that I can go down to AutoZone and I can grab a wrench and I can use that wrench to pound dents into my hood, or I can use that wrench in order to fix my engine. It's just a tool. It's not the wrench that's the problem. It's how I use the wrench. It's the same thing with AI. AI is not good or bad. It can become a problem if you use it wrong, but it can be an incredibly useful tool if you use it properly. So let me give you 4 things that our AI is exceptionally good for. All right, and
Man, you're on the threes and fours today, aren't you?
I know, and I wish that these all started with the same letter, and they don't. So first thing is your ideal customer profile. So you feed a list into AI of your 10 very best customers and ask it to identify like common traits with those
Mhm.
customers so that you can put together
That's a good
an
idea.
ideal customer profile that is laser focused, especially if I got 14 days and $1,500, is going to be
Mhm.
laser focused on what kind of customer is ideal for me. Second thing is list building. So there are some great AI tools that go out there and it'll help you to scrape the internet and to build a list based on that ICP, the ideal customer profile, the ICP, right? Third thing is messaging angles. So, okay, so you go into, I prefer copy.ai. That's my preferred one because
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
is geared specifically for copy and specifically for marketing copywriting. And I found it to be more useful to me than ChatGPT. But anyway, you could say, okay, give me 10 different hooks that I could write into a cold email campaign to a vice president of finance who's worried about budget cuts that'll help them to see that my product is a solution to their problem. Like you can get so granular like that and they'll be, all right, now spit it out. Pump, 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 pump. Well, great. Now I got some ideas that I had to spend a lot less brain power on, and I can start to go through and look at those 10 ideas and really refine them for my audience. Because the thing is, with AI, you should never just take and cut and paste it into your campaigns. You should always use it to give you a rough draft and then really refine that rough draft in your company's, in its language, in its ethos, in the actual offers that it has. And the last thing would be for content repurposing. So let's say that you write a blog post, and I know that we all do this in the marketing space. I wrote a blog post today about putting together a sales and marketing system for a small university. And now I could take that and spend all the time to write that blog post, but now I want to make social media posts based on that blog post that I can push out to the socials. And someday the AI is going to actually make it so my phone doesn't do that in the middle of a podcast. Anyway, so then I could take that and say, I feed that same information, say, now make me 10 social media posts in order to promote this blog post. And I can go in and say, all right, now write me a LinkedIn article based on this blog post that's going to communicate that same kind of information. And so you can take it and use that AI to repurpose your content for different contexts across the internet. I think those are 4 really great ways of using AI: ICP research, list building, messaging angles, and content repurposing.
You and I have had a lot of conversations about like resequencing, also just warming up leads. If we're just going to continue to send different messages and so on, it might not be like an opportune time for them at the moment, but we want to keep in contact with, because they are our ICP.
Mm-hmm.
If the goal is to in filling like a sales calendar, a sales rep's calendar, what's like the minimum viable funnel? I'm like landing pages is the first thing that comes to mind, but let me throw this one at you.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it depends, but there are some companies
course it does.
that there's no such thing as a minimum viable funnel, that their sales process is long and it's robust and it's difficult. You think about the sales process for, I don't know, selling a luxury yacht. That's going to take a long time, right? A sales process for selling candy bars is not quite so difficult, right? So there's just, it really depends on the industry. But let me just say some things are generally true for most kind of mid-sized businesses, okay? Sometimes, first thing is that you do want to send them to a landing page. Now, I've talked about these before in our discussions, and we just rephrase landing page. A landing page is a one-page website with one product, with one call to action. Sometimes when you go straight from an ad to the calendar system, it feels too abrupt for people. Like, man, I don't even know anything about this product, and now I'm booking on the guy's calendar. It's too much, right? So to take them from the ad to a landing page where they can get the information they were looking for about that product, and they can start to make a decision. You're helping them, you're guiding them through making the decision that they really do want this product, and then you give them the opportunity, the link to go to the calendar link, or to the phone call, or to schedule an appointment type of thing. That's sometimes a little bit better process. So that would be a lead generating ad to a landing page to a calendar link. That's a real simple funnel, right? Sometimes it's a lead magnet. So when I talk about a lead magnet, that'd be something like, give us your name for $20,000 off John's Tesla. Like, oh, well, all I got to do is just give him my name. I will gladly take $20,000 off of John's Tesla.
I did not agree to this.
So that lead magnet could be like a free consultation with an expert in their area. That lead magnet could be a coupon. That lead magnet could be a free experience for them. They get to go to a free movie. They get to go to a free class, a free dinner, whatever that lead magnet is. So again, you take them to the lead magnet. You run ads for the lead magnet, then you take them to the landing page, and then you allow them to receive that lead magnet, and then follow up with them later with the opportunity to book. So that would be maybe a 4-stage. So and that gives you an idea about some real simple processes from um, the actual ad to an intermediary piece of some point to an actual time on your calendar.
Keep going, I would say, on this one, Mark, because you kind of went directly into my next question that I had for you. So you're generating leads, but how do you know that these leads are actually closable? I don't want to have it where, like for my sales reps, for example, that they're just simply chasing tire kickers, for example.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's all about your targeting. When you're picking up the phones, you don't have a lot of money, right? So you're sending targeted emails, you're making targeted phone calls, and you're going to targeted meals, right? Emails, what I say, messaging, meal, mail,
Your three M's.
meals, and whatever that was. So the thing is that you don't just call people that because they'll make a quick sale. For example, when I was at the radio station, I don't necessarily want to go to the quilting store. That's the quilting
Mhm.
store. They probably would take out ads. They might take out 10 if I gave them that kind of, one day sale sort of thing. Who I want to go for, who I spend my time with is going to be the car dealership. The car dealership is going to be a major buy. I'm going to want to go to the hospital. The hospital is going to be a major buy. I want to go to the big retailers and offer it to them. So it's being ruthless in your targeting of the little bit of ad spend that you have to make sure that you're giving some criteria. I need a company that's this size. I need a company that has this many employees. I have a company that traditionally makes this size of buy with me. The second
Mhm.
thing is to qualify people with your copy. Then maybe you say, hey, in order to qualify for $20,000 off John's Tesla, you need to be the owner of a company that has an annual recurring revenue of $1 million or more. And so it could be that you qualify inside your copy as far as who you're going to give that offer to. And you know what? God bless them. If they make more than $1 million in their company and they want your Tesla, it's theirs. Okay. The third part
Again, I
is
don't think I agreed to this, but okay.
the third part is being smart with your calendar intake form. Now, sometimes it's a really good idea to put a form in front of your calendar so that they have to qualify themselves. Are you the owner of a business? So you don't get a guy who is at a lower level employee who doesn't really have the ability to make that decision. You use that form to push them off into another sequence. Or, are you able to make an ad buy right now? And this, no, I'm spend money on advertising, or never spend money on your product, whatever your product is. Well, I'm not gonna give you an offer then. I'm gonna push you off to something free or to a lead magnet or something. Yeah, I'm gonna give you something that doesn't cost me a lot of money because I need to find people who are interested in my product, and I'm gonna try to qualify them with the questions ahead of time. So if that's helpful, so three things: ruthless in your targeting. Second thing, qualify with your copy, and third thing, put some kind of smart intake form together in front of your calendar.
I
So,
like it.
John, let me ask you this. I mean, so from the sales standpoint, that's okay. We got the lead. It's cooking, man. The lead's coming in. We got the 14 days, man. We're getting
They're
excited
qualified.
about
Yeah.
this. There's a buzz around the sales and marketing department as we got people calling in and they're starting to raise their hands. We're starting to see leads come into our CRM and whatnot. Tell me this. You're sitting there at the beginning of this campaign and you're starting with a totally empty pipeline. Tell me what you're going to do. Well, like, what is your weekly, daily routine to create opportunities while marketing is out there kind of doing their thing and maybe nothing's quite landed in your inbox quite yet?
I'll say this before I'll say what the activities that I am going to do is like you need to protect your time as a salesperson. Especially if we're dealing with this short of a window, you need to be simply and only doing activity that is going to result in money. There's a lot of people that are just going to be out there that are fine with filling their time with looking busy and so on. But you really need to be looking at that, like that 10% of your activity that's like truly going to be bringing in money. Where I would go with that is that you need to be calling, you need to be emailing, you
Hmm.
need to be messaging on LinkedIn. You need to be, following up with referrals. You need to be like going after and trying to find partnerships. Maybe some old clients or, well, maybe not in this example, but you might need to have some things that you can reactivate or try to retarget and so on. But you really need to be going after those activities that are actually going to be driving closer to a deal, not just simply, you know, cleaning up the CRM. That's all well and good. That is great. Everybody likes to have a clean CRM, but in this particular window, is it actually accomplishing the result? I would argue no.
Mm. So let's say you have a client, and this is true of so many small businesses, that they're out there, they know they have a product that people want, but they don't have that big a name recognition themselves. How do you deal with that? I mean, how do you build that deal quickly when when your company doesn't have, the big brand recognition?
Kind of interesting. I had an example of this past week. Our AC needed a tune up just because, one of the two stopped working all of a sudden, and reached out to an HVAC company that I know. It's somebody that my wife's uncle has used for, I don't know, 20 years. But they don't have a huge name recognition. They're just a very small shop. I think there's 4 people that really work there. But when we were talking about it, it was kind of funny on how this really triggered. He was pointing out to, like, the actual AC units that we have, which is a train. I think in those particular cases, as small, especially if you're, a blue collar or a white collar that's able to be using a particular service, point to the brand that you are actually installing. Like in this instance, it was the HVAC unit. Um, he was saying that Train was such an amazing, amazing product. We're leaning on that particular branding. What I can understand is as a client of his, is that if I need him, if I need a new unit, or if I'm going to have this unit tuned up or whatnot, it's going to be working. It's going to be working for a long time. It's going to be able to accomplish the task. We're out here in Arizona. It gets ridiculously hot. My house will stay cool. My family will stay safe, and so on. And you need to find the particular things in your sales process that you can lean on. Maybe it's, US made, maybe it's local, something like that. You need to be able to focus on the particulars of what sets yours apart.
So, okay, then how do you get it done fast? How do you increase that, like, handshake to close? Again, we're in a situation where we got 2 weeks. What are some of your strategies for getting a sale to close quickly?
Say there's several different options when it comes to this one. I love strategic sales personally myself. It's one of those of where, this person has raised their hand. There's more than likely a fire in their lap. There's something that has happened. We'll go back to the AC situation. My AC stopped working. I needed to have somebody right away. In that particular instance, they were able to get the issue solved immediately. I had my check before they even finished the service already written out for them. In other situations of where, if I need to, be able to have a task around the house done, if I need to have something done at the office, if I need to, think of a couple different options that would go in that regard. You need to be able to make sure that your system is readily available, your product is readily available for if they sign, you're ready to go. Some of the other things that you can do is that you can really emphasize on that one. It's like, if you get this done today, going back to what you were talking about from the lead gen standpoint, from the lead magnet end, is that you get dollar off. You would get this additional service. You would be able to get said product at a different rate. There would be these different things that you could lean on that will help perpetuate that deal to make it be able to close at a quicker speed.
Yeah, maybe $20,000 off of
Not off of my
John's.
Tesla.
I think it's a great offer. I mean, who doesn't want to raise their hand to get $20,000
Right.
off your used Tesla? I think that's fantastic. Okay, so how do you uncover additional use cases and expand on that deal without it feeling like a upsell ambush? And because I mean, honestly, what I just proposed is that we put together something that is, a low, what they call a loss leader. And then because we know we can upsell them later, but that can also be very transparent, right? Where somebody are like, man, you just gave me this cheap so you could upsell some stuff. Like when we sell your Tesla off for cheap, we're like, oh, you want seats in the Tesla? That's going to be another $9,000. Oh, you want to have the little screen? You want to make farting sounds? Now that's going to really cost you. And so how do you not make it seem like,
My
all right,
kids
we
love
gave
that, by
this
the
to
way.
you. What's that now?
My kids love that, by the way.
I know your kids are ridiculous. I mean that in all Christian love. Anyway, so how do you then give the loss leader out there and not make it feel like it's an upsell ambush afterwards?
That's really a kind of a loaded question, I would say, on this one, Mark, and I'll try to break it in a couple of different ways, because there's several different ways that you can think about it. Like I said, I love solution-seeking sales. Tech sales is what I have spent the last 15 years in. And really what it was is that I would have somebody that would raise their hand, they would have a particular problem, and you'd be able to solve it. I think we've said it in a couple of these different episodes, is that should be table stakes. If you were an HVAC company, you should be able to fix my unit. And what I would do is I would be like, okay, this is the particular issue. This is something that we can solve.
Mhm.
But what about for other departments? What about for
Mm.
organization wide? What about maybe the next thing that's coming down the line? What about future use cases? What about ad hoc ones that you're dealing with now? And that was really where, from a sales process, that I was able to build out not only just the speed of it going to be able to close, removing other competitors that were going to be in the space, but also being able to upsize those deals. I would say also, if we were going to keep it with this HVAC system, or with this example here, if they were going to look at one of the systems, maybe they'll clean both units. Maybe they'll replace the filters. Maybe they would take a look at, I don't know why, but let's just say that they took a look at the water heater. There would be additional add-ons that they could
Mhm.
do simply because they were in my space. I was already saying yes because they were able to meet that service quickly, but there might be additional things that they would be able to add on as well that would provide value for me as a customer, but would provide value for them as a business as well. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you need to look at it and make it so that it's not going to be sleazy. It's going to be along the lines of, hey, we're accomplishing this for you. It looks like this and this could be done. Would you like to have this? We could also do this for you. This is something else that we could break down. And if you educate your customer, let them understand of what the benefit is going to be, and not have it of where you're just simply trying to rack up the deal size. A lot of them are going to listen, are going to be able to, will want to say yes. They want those additional services.
Mm. Yeah, I once heard a guy say he was in the marketing space for car repair shops, and he said that any good oil change technician should be able to get that car up on a rack and find at least $400 worth of other things to fix. And so he said, you just have to train your people, even your technicians in sales, so that when they have it up there, and it's legit, like, hey, I got this thing up on the rack and I noticed there's a hole in your muffler. I noticed that you have a shock that's leaking. I noticed that your CV boot is falling apart. And honestly, that's not being sleazy. That actually is giving somebody something that they need. But let me tell you about this scenario. I had a customer call me today, and something went wrong with their website, and it was a minor issue. It looks like it was kind of on their end. No, it was no big deal. And I said, "Hey, by the way, would you want me to run an analysis of your website so I can show you exactly where you are right now, marketing wise?" She goes, "Yeah, well, actually, I just had a new competitor show up in my area. I'd like to see how I'm ranking. So maybe we can." Make sure we stay ahead of this new competitor in the area. So like that upsell I didn't come across like I was being, what I call it, ambush, the upsell ambush. It came across like, hey, I want to help you out and let me diagnose this problem for you for free. And then if you want the solution, I'm here. I've already got my hands raised. So, but let's talk about that. The lead that goes cold though, because that lead had grown cold. And,
It has.
uh, and so let's say you have a lead that's grown cold, and especially you have this like 14-day window with a, few $100 for a, little marketing campaign. How could you real quick re-warm up a lead that's grown cold on you?
I would say in this particular instance, just because it's 14 days, those would be the ones that would be like the tertiary leads that I would want to follow up with. But let's just say that this was something that was already going. These were leads that had already previously closed. If I had a new offer, what I would want to do is I would just want to educate them that I have a new offer. Hey, for this period of time, this is what we're particularly running. Are you interested in this? Is there a likelihood that them saying no? But there's also a likelihood of them saying yes. It might be something that would allow them to
Mhm.
re-engage.
That's
If
right.
it's going to be outside of that 14 window, though, or that 14-day window, you would still need to have different systems that would be in place to be able to just kind of trickle, just have as a drip system so that you were at least top of mind. But in this 14-day window, that would definitely be something I would want to push, is where um, they're not going to be that priority in this particular instance. You're looking for fast, quick deals that would be able to convert. You
Mhm.
want them to have them where you're able to, shorten that sales cycle. You want to have it where you're going to be able to upsell. And you really need to keep that all in mind, especially if you're going to be doing an exercise like this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I think that gives us some good ideas about how we get that fast sales process going. And hey,
Right.
you can't keep that up forever, right? I mean, you can't
You
sprint the entire
can't.
year. There's just a lot
It's a
of things that have to.
marathon, but
Yeah, it is a marathon, but every once in a while, the sales manager will come in and be like, "Yeah, okay, we need some sales right now. What can we do?"
right.
And I've had those conversations before with our staff, and sometimes that's just the way it has to go. And but that can't be the whole year. Most of the year, it's
That's
just
exactly
you're
it.
kind of plugging away.
Yep, and that is. But Mark, I gotta say, being able to go through these 7 previous episodes and then really being able to kind of lay it down from start to finish of really what it would look like from looking for leads to be able to actually converting revenue. I appreciate you, taking the time, having it so that we could have this conversation, recording it so that the listeners would be able to benefit from it as well. But I really do appreciate this. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I'll extend to our listeners, if you held on for this long, I'd be glad to have you book on my calendar, and I'll give you something free. All right,
I
and
like
so,
it. Not my Tesla.
well, maybe a ride in your Tesla,
There we go.
but ablazemedia.co if you want to book on my calendar, and we're glad to give you some free assessments and give you some free advice along the way.
Love it. Guys, appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in.
See you guys later.